Hi, this is Dr. Gregory Sadler. I'm a professor of philosophy and the president and founder of an educational consulting company called Reason.io, where we put philosophy into practice. I've studied and taught philosophy for over 20 years, and I find that many people run into difficulties reading classic philosophical texts. Sometimes it's the way things are said or how the text is structured. But the concepts themselves are not always that complicated, and that's where I come in. To help students and lifelong learners, I've been producing longer lecture videos and posting them to YouTube. Many viewers say they find them useful. What you're currently watching is part of a new series of shorter videos, each of them focused on one core concept from an important philosophical text. I hope you find it useful as well. So Aristotle begins the Nicomachean Ethics with this really famous passage. It gets translated in all sorts of ways. In part because the Greek words that he's using are kind of ambiguous. But at least it's categorical in saying every. So every art or skill. The Greek word for that is techne, the word we get technology from. Many of you are studying technes here at Marist College. You're studying some sort of discipline that will give you some ability to do things when you're done with it, right? What else? Investigations or disciplines, inquiries, these sorts of things. The word that he actually uses there is methodos, which we get method from. So think about any sort of methodological study of something. If you're not studying a techne here at Marist College, you're probably studying a methodos. So any one of your majors and the skill or the discipline or the job that your major is preparing you for, he's talking about here. What else does he say in this every list? Every action or course of action. Praxis is the term there. Everything that we do. This is human action, distinctively human things. And then every choice or commitment. Proairesis is the word there. Which literally means something like preferring one thing over another. Think about it. When you make a choice, we've talked about this before, what do? You take one alternative and you say, well, I'd like that other alternative, but not going to happen. When you're ordering goods in relation to each other and having to sacrifice one good to another, you're making a choice, right? So he says every single one of these has some sort of end or goal or purpose that it aims at. That's the good for that thing. Let's think about some examples. Take some of your majors. We've talked about this before. Now, remind me a little bit. We've got business. We've got a lot of comm people. We've got some education majors. What else do we have? What other majors? Science? Natural science?
Environmental issues.
Okay. Oh, environmental. Yeah. What else do we have?
Fashion.
Fashion, okay. Merchandising or design?
Merch.
Okay, merchandising. Okay, so let's take each one of these and think really, briefly. What is the point of doing that thing? So let's take fashion merchandising. What is the good that it attains? Is it just like making glossy photos of things and getting them into a magazine? I mean, that's an achievement, right? That's a measure for a certain kind of success, but is that the distinctive good that comes out of it? Is that why you're in it? Because you really like glossy stuff?
No. I mean, like clothing makes people happy.
Okay, that's very good. Why do people pay more, besides labels and things like that, why do people pay more for good clothing, good in a lot of different ways, than for the cheap stuff? Because the cheap stuff doesn't wear as well, You get a good suit, that can last you an awful long time. You get a cheap suit, and it doesn't wear very well. Same thing for ties. I don't know about women's stuff, because I don't wear it, but presumably it's the same sort of deal, right? Mm-hmm. What about the feel? When you buy the more expensive things, again, putting aside the prestige factor, does it feel better? Yeah. It seems kind of silly and trivial, but this is actually quite important stuff. If you're doing your job well, you're making people's lives better. There's a distinctive good at which you aim. What about you're doing environmental science?
Yeah, and bio.
Okay. But were you a policy person or?
Environmental issues, policy concentration.
Okay.
With a science minor in bio.
Okay. So let's think about the policy thing, because that goes right to what Aristotle was talking about. What's the distinctive good that's going to come out of that?
Better health for humans in their
Yeah. And maybe, avoiding killing a bunch of species that we might actually want to look at or need, too. Destroying the landscape. Those are pretty good goods. Those are important things. What about business? Is the distinctive good of business just making a ton of money?
Yep.
Really? I don't know if you talk with a lot of business professors. I mean, think about it. Every business professor that you got, if they have any skills, they could be making more money out there in the workplace than they are teaching you how to do business. There must be something that attracts them to that, something intrinsic to the discipline that maybe not every practitioner realizes, but it's there. Why do people get into business? Some people do just to make a lot of money. But are there other reasons why people get into business? I mean, who's going to buy your products? You've got to be giving them some sort of good, don't you? Or else people don't hand the money over. So if you're making harps, your harps have to look nice and sound pretty. And people have to like the sound, or else they're not going to pay you. If you're selling people coffee, you have to actually, provide probably reliability is a big issue there too. The coffee should taste the same more or less each time. But you're also providing an experience too. There are distinctive goods with each one of these things. And the good is, what that activity or that discipline aims at. Now, Aristotle makes another distinction here. He says some activities, they have some sort of good outside of themselves that they aim at. So if you're a barista, right, what is the good that you're producing for people?
experience.
Well, yeah, that's part of it. The experience of what? What's the central thing there? It may not be coffee because we sell tea at Starbucks too, but it's going to be some sort of drink, right? I guess that'd be the difference between a barista and a bartender. Right? Bartenders selling alcoholic drinks. And at least in the old days with Starbucks, before they had pre-measured everything, you had to actually know a little bit about what you were doing. They would train you, and you had to take the coffee and measure it out and tamp it down, and steam the milk the right way and all that. Now it's mostly mechanicized, but you were producing something for the clients, right? That was a good outside of the activity itself. Are there some activities that we engage in where the good is that very activity itself? I'll bet you guys engage in some. Do any of you who are not athletes play any sports? Why do you do it?
For fun.
Yeah. Okay. So there's an example of something where you're not doing it for something outside of the activity itself. You're doing it for that activity. Any musicians in here? I think I asked last class. Yeah. Why do you play? Just to make people happy? It's fun, yeah. The scales aren't. We talked about that before, but there are certain activities where we do the activity because we want what's in that activity. You could say that about. Make sure I've got this turned off. You could say that about certain commitments that we make too. Think about a friendship. And we're going to talk more about this later in the semester. Do you always try to get something out of your friendships? I mean, if you do, you may have a kind of distorted view on relationships. If every single friendship that you're involved in, you're in it because you want some external good that's going to come to you, not the friendship itself, then that's kind of like turning the cart, before the horse. You're making the good that you want drive the friendship. And the friendship, it can be a greater good than, connections or getting invited to parties or, a ride somewhere, things like that. So each of these activities, each of these choices, all these things that we're involved with, they all have some sort of purpose. Can we connect them up with each other? Sure. Start with a trivial example. Why are you in this classroom right now? Yeah. Because you have to be. Why do you have to be? For what? I mean, nobody's like, holding a gun at your head.
To graduate.
Okay, so you want to graduate. So you take this class. This is a required class. And I mean, theoretically, you could just like not come to this class and take the next ethics class that comes around because they're like trains. They're coming by every semester, right? As a matter of fact, we offer them online at all sorts of weird intervals too. But so you've decided you're going to stick with this one and get through it, and you want to graduate. So you have to study this discipline of ethics, at least for a little while. And that discipline is going to be good for you, maybe a variety of reasons. But one is, it's going to get you where you want to be. Now, what did you have to do to actually get you here today?
Take philosophy.
Oh, yeah, you had to sign up. That's true.
Well, you have to.
Prerequisite.
Yeah, I have something even like more basic in mind. What actually got you physically out of wherever you were and through that door today?
My legs.
Your feet. Okay, your legs. Okay, that's really basic. Now I'll go a little bit
Your
higher.
desire to graduate.
Your desire to graduate? Okay. Did everyone consult their desire to graduate before they got themselves here today? Yeah.
Well, mine's not really just graduate, but like get a good grade so like I can like make mine.
Yeah, I mean, you could have all sorts of divergent reasons. You could take, you could, for instance, take ethics because you hate ethics, and you also like inflicting, punishment on yourself, and that would be a goal, wouldn't it? Right? I hope nobody in here is doing that. But, now, you had to do what to get here? You had to do some really basic management of your time and resources to get yourself in through the door. You're all wearing clothes, right? You got that down. You're all fed, I assume, hopefully. Maybe you're going to eat after this. I see all of you have some sort of notebook or a laptop or something like that, so you can actually, if something comes up that you think is important, you can write it down. You've developed all sorts of other skills, haven't you, that you just take for granted, and those feed into getting you here in class, and that feeds into something bigger, which is passing this class, and that feeds into something even bigger, which is graduating from here. And why do you want to graduate from Marist?
Get a job.
Get a job, right? And then everything will be completely clear, and you won't have to think about anything after that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, not likely. If it's a job that you went to college to get, you're going to keep on doing all this stuff when you're in your job. Now, what did we do there? We actually looked at a bunch of different means and ends. And so some things that are an end, a purpose, a goal, a good for you, in some respect, can become the means for yet another higher, more important good. Something that's getting closer to the core of what it is that you really want, what it is that you truly desire. And you notice for everybody in this classroom, we ended up where? Getting a job. And we could go on with that. You want any job? I can give you a job. I have some money right here. I need my shoes. I never shine them. Anybody want to be my shoe shiner?
How much we're talking?
Well, I don't have much money, so, it's the military guy who, is willing to shine the shoes because, but you get the idea, right? It's not any job that you want. What is it about the job that you want that's attracting you?
Money.
Making money? Okay. Actually, that's going to be important for Aristotle. What else?
I was gonna say like the money, but like for to buy those things that you want in life.
Yeah, money is by itself not particularly useful, just by itself, considered, without reference to anything else. I mean, you could build a house out of dollar bills, I suppose, but
You burn it.
yeah, that would be very expensive way of going about things.
What they did with inflation, right? Because it was like cheaper
In
to burn
Germany.
money than to.
You're thinking in Germany.
In Germany, they use it as
Yeah.
insulation of the walls. It's like
Yeah, during the massive inflation. I actually had a gigantic bank mark for it was like 1,000,000 marks, and the thing was like this big, because it looked almost like a sheet of paper. What else do you want on your job? I don't think all of you are here just because you want money. Yeah.
Well, for me, I want to become a teacher, which has like intrinsic value because I like working with like little children and like seeing their progress, and I feel like that would make me feel better knowing that like I can help them anyway. It's like an intrinsic value besides
Yeah.
like money. Like,
There
I
are-
would like my job.
There are goods intrinsic to every activity that you guys are studying to engage in, even the ones that make money. There are goods for other people, there are goods for yourself. There are goods that you actually share with other people and yourself in a lot of these. Think about, one second, think about the workplace that you're going to go into. Do you want a workplace where you will actually work with people, or do you want a workplace where it's going to be cutthroat and everybody is trying to screw everybody over?
Personally.
Yeah, I think most people at least want the first one. You know why? Because that's a better situation. That's, your idea of your job is more than just this shadowy destination point. What were you going to say?
Piggybacking on what Amanda said, I want to be a teacher, but like, not so much like, you have like visibility to have like all these kids in your class who are eventually going to become like something better for society. So like that.
Hopefully.
I want to, like if you could bring it back to the word power, not that you have like this power in the classroom, but like you just have this ability to make kids do like whatever they want to do. I guess.
Yeah, what Aristotle would call that is the capacity to take potential
Yeah.
and to turn it into actuality. And that's very important for him. We're going to get to that in a moment. And I think for your jobs that you're preparing for, that's part of it too. You want something that's going to be fulfilling for you, don't you? I mean, otherwise, study, whatever is going to make the most money possible. And do anything that it takes to get the money. Because if that's the only good that's going to come out of it, why not just be totally focused on that? Yeah.
I feel like some people do choose their majors based on like what's going to make them more money. I mean,
Yeah.
I know for me it's not like that because I'm a social work major, and every time I tell
Yes.
someone that, they laugh in my face. But I'd rather.
Well,
be
that's
like-
not nice.
Yeah, but well, you just did it too.
No, I didn't laugh in your face. I was laughing. My sister's a social worker, and so I know all about how what that's like.
But like I know people, like my sister was always said she wanted to be like a journalism major. She always wanted to do journalism, and then she realized that she wasn't gonna make like money out of it. That the amount of money she's spending to go to school was gonna be so much more than how much she was making. She switched her major to business, and now she's a business major.
Yeah, it's interesting to see too. There's a lot of business majors who then go back to school in their late 30s and 40s for some other discipline. Not that they, that their life went wrong or anything like that, but they say, I didn't learn everything that I wanted to learn, now I want to go back to school. And Aristotle actually thought when it comes, this is a digression, when it comes to ethics, we shouldn't try to teach this to 18-year-olds. Probably not even 21, 22-year-olds, the way that we're doing it here. You probably need to go out and accumulate some life experience in the world of work to draw on for some of these things to hit home about value and goods and all that sort of stuff. I think there's ways in which people can mature very quickly. I think he might be wrong in some of the things that he says about that, but there's something to that. So going back to this now, is there some good that everything that we do aims at, he asks? If there is, then there's something that we could use to orient not just one's own life or one's profession, but also human beings in general. That would be a basis for doing ethics. If we don't have anything like that, if there's only goods for, say, certain professions, or goods for certain organizations, or your good and her good and her good, and so on down the line, if there's no general human good, even if it's one that we're kind of vague about, then we're not going to really be able to have much of a basis for deciding what to do across the board in general. We can decide what to do in a specific area. You can do things hypothetically. Well, if money is what you want, then here's what you ought to do to get it. If respect is what you want, here's what you ought to go to do to get it. But there's nothing, if there isn't one single good that we all aim at, then there's nothing that we could point towards and say, well, here's our guiding point, our North Star that we're going to use to see us through all of these different things. And it is possible to go off course very easily when it comes to these things. Before I talk about that last thing, just consider one possibility for how you can go off course. Besides business, what's another major that you could study where you are likely to make some good money? Yeah.
Like medical?
Oh, yeah, okay. Become a doctor. That's good. Americans have a pre-med program?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you go pre-med, and then you do med school, and you do your residency and all that, and you get through it. It's like one gigantic hazing process. But you get through it. And now you're going to make a lot of money, which is good, because you've got a lot of loans, too, right? Doctors and lawyers come out with tons of loans. And that's part of why they have to charge what they do. Now, you engage in your medical practice. Think about the doctors that you've known over the course of your life. What motivates them? Different things, right? Think about the best doctors you've known. What motivated them? Yeah.
Well, my dad's a doctor, so I know, I sometimes...
Hope he's a good one, right?
Yeah.
Good.
And sometimes I always joke around at retirement. He's like, no, I'm going to be working until I die. Because, he has to support his family, so his family comes first. And,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm, very, blessed to, come from the family I come from. So, and he feels like he has to keep up that, the reputation he established for himself as my dad. So I feel like he puts a lot of pressure on himself. So family would, motivate him.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that has to do with his role as a father rather than a role as a doctor, per se. But those are commendable qualities. What else can you guys say about doctors that you've liked? Would any of you like to have Dr. House as your doctor? I mean, he's, at least on the show, which is done now, unfortunately, because that show was about ethics, he's got a really high success rate, doesn't he? Of course, he's a complete jerk and really alienates people. But if getting cured is the only thing you care about, maybe he'd be the best way to go. What else are you looking for from a doctor? Yeah.
Compassion and sympathy and understanding.
Yeah, those are important traits in the medical professions, and sometimes not valued highly enough. Now, think about your worst experience with a doctor. I'm willing to bet every one of you's had some bad experience. Or if not a doctor, a nurse, an emergency responder, somebody like that. What motivated them in their job? Let's assume they were actually doing their job. They didn't just leave you on the side of the road. Yeah.
And they were just trying to get you out of the office as quickly as possible and not really caring about.
Ah, that's interesting. I've had that experience myself too. So they valued efficiency. They valued making sure the paperwork was filed. They valued getting rid of their caseload or something like that. Now, that I suppose is a good in a certain respect. It's not a good to you because you end up falling through the cracks, but it is a good to them, and that could become something that really motivates them. Money can become something that motivates the doctor. They're probably not going to be as good of a doctor if they're motivated by money than by healing people, making compassion something actual in the world. Yeah.
Competition, like within the work field.
Oh, that's an important one. Yeah, I didn't think that would come up here, but you're right. Doctors compete with each other, and they compete for honors, and who has the highest success ratios and things like that. Lawyers are bad that way too. Sometimes they do it in other ways, cars, golf clubs, things like that. Yeah, that could be the motivation too. And if your motivation is one of these things, you are probably less likely to turn out happy, Aristotle would say. You're probably less likely to fulfill your function and thereby be fulfilled in what you do than the person who has a better grasp on it.